Michael Carrick's unbeaten run as interim Manchester United manager has taken a twist that many fans did not expect. Sky Sports have shared a fresh update that, despite his strong form, Carrick is still not viewed as the leading candidate to take the job permanently. In this video, we're going to break down what Sky Sports are reporting about Carrick's future, why the club are still looking elsewhere, how the European managerial market is influencing United's thinking, and what all of this means for the rest of the season. So, let's start with the key update. Sky Sports reporter Rob Dorsett has revealed that, as of this Wednesday afternoon, the Manchester United hierarchy do not consider Michael Carrick the favorite to become the permanent manager. They are impressed with his work, but they are determined not to rush into a decision based purely on short-term results. The stance from the board is clear. They want to complete a full, careful process before appointing the next long-term head coach, even if Carrick continues to pick up good results. That will surprise a lot of supporters, especially when you look at what Carrick has done on the pitch. Across both of his interim spells in charge of Manchester United, Michael Carrick has still not lost a game as manager. Back in November 2021, when he first stepped in after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he put together a 3-game unbeaten run before making way for the next permanent appointment. Fast forward to this current spell, and he has taken things up another level. Carrick has overseen wins against the top two sides in the league, Arsenal and Manchester City, reminding everyone of his tactical calmness and ability to set a team up against elite opposition. Arsenal headed into that clash with an unbeaten home record, only to be beaten 3-2 by Carrick's United in a dramatic game at Old Trafford. That result alone would usually push any interim manager right into the conversation for the permanent job. Since then, Carrick has added further victories over Fulham and Tottenham Hotspur. The win against Spurs was particularly significant because it was United's first triumph over Tottenham since October 2022, ending a frustrating run and reinforcing the sense that Carrick has restored belief and structure to the side. The only slight setback in this current run came with a 1-1 draw away to West Ham United. Even then, United avoided defeat, keeping Carrick's overall unbeaten record intact. On paper, he has done everything you would expect from an interim boss: steady the ship, beat big teams, and give both players and fans renewed confidence. However, when you step back and look at the wider context inside the club, you can see why the decision-makers are being cautious. By the time Carrick took over this season, Manchester United had already been eliminated from both domestic cup competitions. That meant his objectives were heavily focused on the league, with one clear priority: secure qualification for the Champions League. There is a potential boost for Carrick and United in that race. Thanks to the strong performance of English clubs in European competitions this season, the Premier League is currently leading the race for an extra Champions League qualification spot under the new format. If that additional place is confirmed, it would widen the pathway back into the competition and give United a slightly bigger margin for error in the top 4 or top 5 battle. Even with that in mind, the message from the board is that Champions League qualification alone may not be enough to guarantee Carrick the permanent job. They appreciate the results, but they are planning this appointment with the next 5 to 10 years in mind, not just the next few months. This is where the situation outside England becomes important. Over in France, there have been significant developments involving one of the coaches who has been heavily linked with Manchester United in recent months. Roberto De Zerbi has brought his time at Olympique Marseille to an early end, leaving the club after a difficult spell. Marseille failed to qualify from the first phase of the Champions League and are sitting only 4th in Ligue 1, below expectations for a club of their size. Despite that, De Zerbi's reputation in European football remains strong because of the work he did at Brighton and Hove Albion. At Brighton, he delivered an attractive, possession-based style of football and consistently pushed the team to punch above their weight in the Premier League. That period is a big reason why his name has repeatedly come up in discussions about the Manchester United job. Now that De Zerbi is available, the landscape for top clubs across Europe has shifted. Anytime a coach with that kind of profile becomes free, boards at big clubs reassess their options and think carefully about whether to move for him. United are no exception. This is exactly why the club are reluctant to rush into giving Carrick the job permanently right now. They want to survey the whole market, look at all potential candidates, and weigh them not just on recent results, but on long-term philosophy, track record, and how they fit into the wider project the club is trying to build. From a fan's point of view, that creates a real tension. On one side, you have Michael Carrick, a club legend, a former player who understands Manchester United from the inside, and a coach who has twice come in during moments of turbulence and kept the team unbeaten. The players clearly respect him, and the performances against big sides like Arsenal and City show that he can prepare a team to compete at the highest level. On the other side, the club's hierarchy is wary of making another emotional decision. In the past, United have been accused of appointing managers based on short-term bounces, only to see things unravel later when deeper issues were exposed. The new leadership appears determined to avoid repeating those mistakes, even if that means taking a decision that might not be popular with sections of the fan base. The De Zerbi situation adds another layer to the debate. Some supporters will look at his struggles with Marseille, including failing to get out of the initial Champions League phase, and ask serious questions about whether he is the right man to take over at Old Trafford. Others will focus on the exciting, structured football he produced at Brighton and argue that, given time and resources, he could bring a clear identity back to United's play. So, where does all of this leave Carrick, and what should fans be watching for in the weeks ahead? Firstly, Carrick's immediate task is crystal clear: get Manchester United back into the Champions League. Every league game from this point on will carry extra weight, not only because of the race for Europe, but because each result feeds into the wider discussion about the manager's future. Secondly, even if he achieves that objective, there is still no guarantee he will be offered the role permanently. That might feel harsh when you look at his unbeaten record, but it underlines how determined the board are to follow a deliberate, long-term strategy rather than be swayed by emotion. Thirdly, the managerial market will continue to move. De Zerbi leaving Marseille is just one example of how quickly circumstances can change. Other clubs may part ways with managers, others may secure new appointments, and all of that will influence which candidates are realistically available to United when the time comes to make their final decision. Stepping back, this whole situation reflects a bigger question that has hung over Manchester United for years. How do you balance the club's identity and traditions with the cold, strategic decisions required in modern football? Carrick represents continuity and the internal culture of the club. He carries the values of the Sir Alex Ferguson era, he has the respect of the dressing room, and he has shown he can get results in difficult circumstances. A coach like De Zerbi represents something different: a defined tactical blueprint, a strong emphasis on structured attacking football, and an approach that has been developed outside the club's walls. Choosing between those profiles will say a lot about what kind of Manchester United the board want to build for the next decade. For now, the message is simple: enjoy the football that Carrick is delivering, support the team in their push for Champions League qualification, but be prepared for a pragmatic decision from the board at the end of the season. Whatever happens, Carrick's reputation has been enhanced by these unbeaten spells. If United decide to go in a different direction, there will almost certainly be other clubs watching closely and considering him for their own projects. And as for United, their next move in the dugout will be one of the biggest calls they make in years. Whether they stick with the man who has stabilized the team without defeat, or turn to a high-profile external candidate like Roberto De Zerbi, will shape the future of the club on and off the pitch.